We're going to go and take a look at the prop controller, and we're going to go page by page. The first one we're going to take a look at is the operator page. This is where your game master is going to be sitting most of the time. After you've already done your config, you've got it all set up, behaving the way you want. This is kind of where they live. Now, it's a prop controller, not a room controller. So depending on your room setup, if you only have one or two of these, then this might make sense for you to be watching from here. If not, it might be something that's more used for just debug or on that one core prop that people have more issues with, I need more visibility into. Or it could be something where you're actually taking the information that's on this and exposing it out to your game control system. We'll have more videos on that and how you can do things like that later on. But for right now, we're going to take a look at this page. So the operator page, I've got up here the name of my prop. I've got my live status, which is showing me my IP address, my version, all those things. And it's also showing me my state, the state my prop is in. States is something that you can use. You also don't have to use. But in general, I would always consider it as having like an off, an armed, and a solved state. That's kind of the things that my puzzle goes through. Off, they're not available to do it yet. Armed, they're working on the puzzle right now. Solved, they already did the puzzle. That's how my games tend to work. There's also the ability to have many more states within that. If maybe it's not just armed, it's step 1, step 2, step 3, or different ways it could do. Or if I have multiple different solves for a puzzle, maybe it's puzzle 1 versus puzzle 2. Lots of things you can do with this. You can also do it with different things, like doing it with variables or things like that. But I've got my state right here. Here I do have my variable section. And these sections are all dynamic, so they're actually going to populate based off what I have. Because I have a variable in my setup, I have a variable section. If I didn't have one, it wouldn't even show up. And there are sections that I don't have here because I don't have them in my thing right now. Logic rules, we're going to talk more about what that means in a later video, but for right now, just know that your logic rules appear here. And right now it's showing me that I have a logic rule, it's called should solve, and it is not solved right now. It is fail, it does not match. One of the two conditions of it are true, but it needs all conditions to be true to match. And then here I can see the actual two conditions. One says that I have to be in the armed state. I'm not, I'm in the off state. The other one says that recently triggered, this variable, has to be false. It is. So that's good, that's green. The other one's red, showing me where I'm at, what I need to do it. I also have this little test button here, which I can make to override that logic rule and say, nope, go. And I can use that to help testing, or I can use it as an override function within a game. Haven't talked about it here, but up in this state, I can go ahead and click there, and that's going to let me move the prop into another state. So if I want to manually move it around, I can move it to armed. And if I move it to armed, oh, you're going to see that now this logic rule has passed because now both of its things are true. I can also do that with variables. I can do that with outputs. So I have a relay over here that I've labeled emag. I can come in there and I can click into that and tell it, turn that relay on. I have my things like my RFID reader as an input module. I have my simple inputs here where it's showing I actually don't have a knob hooked up, which is why this thing is just running crazy numbers. But I've got an analog potentiometer is what I've told it I have hooked up there, even though I didn't hook it up. But I can see there. And I've also, in a later video, see that I've actually configured it to have a range. So with your, I call them level inputs, things like an analog input, things like a color sensor, things that have a range, a 0 to whatever. You can take them and you can define in those ranges specified areas that you want things to be. You can either in the center or the map. We'll talk about that a lot more later, but where you see here floating, that's actually a name that I gave to it that I said, hey, this means it's floating, versus if I go ahead and pull it to ground, it won't be in the floating range anymore. So I've kind of defined that. I would also use that on a color sensor if I was to say like, hey, this is red, this is green, this is blue, then it would show up there in those parentheses as telling me that's a range. I can see my button is released. Down here below all these dynamic sections, like I said, they populate out as you add things, they automatically appear there. I've also got this live events log. So I can hide it. Normally it looks like this, but I can show it out, and then I can choose what I want to see. Not much is going on right now that I actually could look at, but one thing that is the heartbeat. I've always got my heartbeat here, and every 5 seconds it's changing to show me that it's been up. Normally I would have a lot of different events for like every time a button is pushed, RFID tag is read, a gesture, we change states, all those things as we're actually running the puzzle, and I can see all of them here. I can also click in here to filter it. I can clear it at where I've now cleared everything in that log, and now you can see it starting to populate again. And of course I can choose which filters I'm looking at. Down here, this open configuration is where I'm going to get into my actual config. That's all the pages that we're going to see later. I can password protect that, and you'll see that I also have ways to do a simple password and an advanced password. So if I have like a power user versus my full admin, but Right now I don't have any passwords set. If I wanted to, though, I could password protect that to keep my game masters off of it. And then I have views. So right now, this is the full view. This is showing everything that's dynamically populated. But I could also click here to create a new view. I could call this one, sorry, I clicked out of it. I could call this one Game Masters. So I'm going to call this view Game Masters. And I'm going to say that I want it to be able to control the state. So it's getting controls for live status, but I don't want it to be able to control my other things. And then I'm going to say all I want it to see is the logic rules. So it's just going to have the live status and the logic rules. I'm going to go save. And now that is this new view. I could also, when I come into here, I'm on the Game Masters view right now. Now the full one, Game Masters. If I come in Edit View, I can also make sure this check default. That means that every time the page loads, it's going to go to that view automatically unless you manually change out of it. I can copy my view, I can delete the view, and I can edit the view of the one that I'm on. You can't delete or edit the full view, but you can create these views, creating these different things. Again, I gave them the ability to change this, but I took away the ability to edit the logic. So I can kind of get a little bit granular in what I allow within that. But this just lets us have like a little bit easier of a view for the game masters all day when this is kind of all they need to pay attention to with this prop. And then, oh, I need to troubleshoot something. Let's go take a look at everything. And then I need to actually dig in. Let's go into the config. And that's the next sort of videos we're going to start talking about. Last button I'm going to talk about on here is the help button. This, of course, gets you out to our resources page where you've got the manual, you've got links to these videos and more things. You've got links to our Facebook group. You've got all the different resources you have available. I'll have a video specifically on that, but just know that there's a lot of help out there, and this is one of the places you can get to it.